So what is this?
Well, this is sort of the lobby area, and then this is meant to be a big sort of event space, so that you could have evening events in this kind of ambiance of the.
And it's covered with a dome that'll have projections on it for different events. But it's going to be set up with a PA system, so you could have a whole crowd sitting here for a special event. You know, there could be a Cowboy Poets evening.
And to give you an idea, what's the diameter here, Fred?
It's about 45 feet, so it's as big as this
easily
floor.
as big as this space. And it goes up how many feet?
Well, the top of the dome is probably at about almost 45 feet off the ground.
Well, we can do we have this outdoor space, which would probably be more conducive to throwing ropes, I would think, something like that. Because we were talking about having some kind of children, like some sculptures out there. Perhaps there could be.
These are green terraces, so there's actually the opportunity where you'll have a soft ground below you to actually set up, latigo stations and.
Well, like I say, everything I see is good. I don't see kind of the ranching piece here that I do here.
Right. We are going to have an interactive section here that is where we talk about, it's called Patterns and Patches, where we talk about the disturbances. So, the hoof print of the cattle and things, and how they create these little microsites where new life can have opportunities to take effect. So there will be a little bit of the bison cattle story there, probably.
I imagine you get attuned to being able to tell the health of a herd by just how it sounds sometimes.
Yeah, I'm a CSL teacher. That's cow as a second language.
Okay. Nice. And then once you learn that, you can go over here and record your own symphony by putting these sounds together, the chirping of the crickets, the blowing wind through the grass and things like that.
We have two classrooms and a changing gallery that would seat, 150 people.
Oh, okay. So those could be used for...
So those could be used constantly. Yeah, those can be used on a rotating basis for evening lectures and stuff. But if we can do what I'm hoping to be able to do in the immersive experience theater, where it could be about a 360 degree, I'm hoping to project on both the ceiling and the floor, and at least 240 degrees completely around you. In a space where we don't have set seating, so you can actually walk in, and as a herd of bison come towards you, you can watch them. You can just turn around in the space and have the space become not only interactive but reactive. So certain things the visitor will do will trigger certain aspects of the show, so that every time the show happens, it's different for every audience.
Okay.
It has a set spine, but we have elements in it that will be triggered by each individual audience, so that every time you go, you may get a completely different experience, but it will always be an immersive experience. And then we have, a huge changing gallery. It's about, 3,000 or 4,000 square feet of changing gallery space.
Yeah. Good size.
Yeah. So we have a lot of room in there.
And you'll come in here. There'll probably be a turnstile of some kind, because you'll have to buy tickets to actually come into the exhibits. And then we'll have a temporary gallery space that they can change out with whatever they want in a couple of community classrooms.
Well, that's my area. Yeah, that's my area.
And then you'll also be able to exit from this upper floor onto this terrace.
There's definitely
And we're thinking about having kind of it be an interactive, again, children's area with some children's garden, maybe some sculpture, perhaps a water feature that discusses erosion, things like that. It'd be very changeable.
They were doing God's work to plow up that prairie. But the ranchers who settled here, well, they couldn't because it was flint. But
Not much below it, but yeah.
But then they realized real quick that if they took care of the prairie, it would take care of them.
Well, one of the things we're actually looking at here, and you'll notice this little area here that's called Fanning the Flames, and a lot of what we're talking about is all these stories tend to come back to fire. And so this is sort of a unifying force against the water that you're coming in on. So we've got these two opposing elements.
So now this is more, it looks like it's more, instead of something separate, more tied in, more...
It's going to change even more.
Okay.
We've got a queuing area now. We've got an entry and an exit experience, so it's actually, we can pulse it. We can do it as maybe 3 20-minute shows an hour and time the theater in here. And then it brings you right back out into the Listening to the Prairie, so it's sort of a recap of what this experience is going to be. And then it pulls you into the exhibit that way.
Yeah. See, I've been thinking, in terms of programming, I think you have to go through some endowments or something, but set up something fairly regular where you become the place that you give out awards to documentarists, to folks who create visual images of the prairie, something that can go out.
You've got an amazing temporary gallery, a 3,000 square foot gallery space to show that as well. I think it would be amazing if the Discovery Center commissioned a symphonic piece for the opening.
The more we talked, the more people got excited. We're at a stage now in schematic design, which we're here for a series of meetings with our engineers and consultants and pulling it all together from both the detail side and the design side. And a lot of the questions actually were probably more to do with what's happening inside with the exhibits and what kinds of things are being planned for that. So I'll let Richard talk about those.
Well, we're also excited to be here, and I have to say this is a project that everyone in our office is really excited about. You have 25,000 square feet of story that we're putting into 10,000 square feet of space, so creating the right interpretation that has a balance of the academic, which is really where we're at on the first floor, and a real hands-on discovery center aspect for children on the second floor, with exterior programming spaces so that we have both indoor and outdoor experiences that we can use here, and a completely dynamic, immersive experience on the, which is the two-story space on the north side of the building. I think is all going to really create a dynamic space. We are still taking comments and getting lots more comments and information, and we'll probably be gathering information for the next couple of weeks to make sure we've got all the stories we need to tell, notated in here. So thank you.
It's just such an amazing idea, just the word discovery, that has a lot of emphasis that is interesting. And I'm so eager to see how my grandchildren will react to it. I'm looking forward to a place where people will want to visit it and then revisit and then bring relatives and visit it again. And the architecture of it's so unique and unusual, and the things that are planned for it are just it's completely unique to our area. I think it will be a big draw.